Welcome to the writer reads Traffin's Choice, the second and final part. Maybe he'd go full human again, or he could just let go and become all dog. He yawned. He'd make a good guard dog. When the war faded and peace came, John knelt before him. You could look for them, he said. You don't have to stay with us. Traffin whined and cocked his head, thumping his tail. John rubbed his head. This would be a whole lot better if you'd just come out and talk to me. Please, boy. He gave an exasperated sigh. You never even told us your name. You should at least do that. I bet it's not Woofer. Right, Woof? Traffin licked his face. He tasted of salt and sweat and fear. What would he have to fear? Traffin cocked his head, and just as John caught sight of something behind him and froze. Traffin turned, tucking himself under John's arm until he saw what he faced. The pack had returned. Some guard dog he'd turned out to be, and some shifter. He hadn't even caught their scent as they'd approached. A crash came from the direction of the house, and John turned his head, rising to his feet. 4 semi-automatics lifted in his direction, and he froze. Traffin ran between his legs, bringing him down, and then he put both forepaws on John's chest, barking and growling, his crest bristling. The lead gunman lowered his weapon and sniffed the air. Catching Traffin's scent, he looked around. A shriek echoed out of the house, and John stirred. Rifles snapped in his direction, and Traffin dropped over him. The lead gunman approached, and Traffin snarled. The man stopped and crouched, setting his gun aside. Easy there. We're friends. Like you. Another shriek came from the house, and John pushed against him. Wolf, he pleaded, and Traffin snapped at his face, pushing him back down so he wouldn't get himself shot. On all fours, he raced past the gunman, hearing the leader snap an order at John. Stay there. My family. You'd better hope he's got good things to say. John gave a bitter bark of laughter. You were the ones that abandoned him. He asked. Asked? Traffin hit the house and hurtled through the pack members who'd cornered Heidi and the rest. As he reached the front, he fastened his teeth around the wrist of the man pulling Katie out from behind a chair. The man gave a shout of surprise and then caught Traffin's scent and shifted. In no time flat, the fur was flying, and Katie had run to her mother. Mama, you got to stop them. They're going to hurt him. She darted forward, but Heidi grabbed her and pulled her back. Ignoring the guns around the room, she picked up a cushion and threw it into the brawl. Woof, she commanded, and Traffin hesitated. Woofer, come. Traffin still hesitated. Come away, Heidi shouted. You come back here and leave that nasty dog alone. The other dog let him go, and Traffin backed up, hackles raised and head lowered. He snarled at the armed pack members, putting himself between them and his family. Heidi crouched down when he reached her. She draped an arm around his shoulders and reached over to pat his neck. Don't you think it's time? She asked. And he looked at her and then at the pack. I mean, the first time I laid eyes on you, you were as human as the rest of us. And then John had to tell me to sit. Do you remember? What do you mean, Mama? Katie asked. I mean, Wolf was hurt when he came here, but he was a grown man, not a dog, Heidi told her daughter. No! The little girl was horrified. No, he's not. He's mine. He's my dog, and I love him. He can't be a man. She glared at the soldiers. He's not like them. One of the soldiers recoiled and glanced at his colleagues. Katie stamped her foot and wrapped her arms around Traffin's neck. You be what you want to be, she told him fiercely. You don't have to be like them. We love you anyway. One of the soldiers laughed and one growled. Traffin growled back, and Tobias came and stood beside them. I know what he is, he told Katie. And he was a man, but when Dad asked him if he wanted to leave, he changed back into a dog. Traffin cast him a startled glance. He hadn't known the boy had been eavesdropping that night. Tobias took a step forward and stabbed a finger at the soldiers. You abandoned him. You left him all alone, injured, in the middle of enemy territory, and you never came back. He took another step forward, and then another, and Traffin watched in horror as he stood directly in front of the highest ranking pack member in the room. You, the boy said, are not as much of a pack for him as we are, and now you're trying to take that away from him. He gestured at Traffin. He gestured back at Traffin. Do you blame him for wanting to stay a dog? If you were my friends, I wouldn't want to know you either. That was too much for the pack second. He reached out and grabbed the boy by the throat, and Traffin ripped free of Heidi and Katie's arms. He bounded forward and fastened his teeth on the pack second's forearm. The man dropped Tobias and shifted, but the boy wasn't done. He leapt into the fray and wrapped his arms around Traffin's shoulders, holding him back. We'll be okay, Wolf, but you need to decide, he said when he pulled Traffin clear. You can be a dog, and maybe they'll let us keep looking after you. Or you can be a man and still be our friend. I don't mind sharing my room or helping Dad fix you a space in the loft or wherever, but you need to choose how much of the world you want. Traffin had been struggling to reach the pack second, who'd morphed back into a man and picked up his gun. At the boy's words, he stopped. The pack second gave them both a long stare. Keep him here, he ordered Tobias. I need to get the boss. Yeah, you do that, Tobias told him. You go and do that, and you better not hurt my dad. He's been more of a friend to Wolf than you guys ever were. You don't even know his name, one of the men scoffed, and Traffin decided he'd had enough. He shifted, and Tobias let go. Fuck! Mind your language, boy. You know your mama doesn't like that word. Traffin turned to the pack. My name is Traffin. They don't know it because I never told them. There was a small commotion as John was brought in and let go to join his family. He slapped Traffin on the shoulder as he moved to wrap his arms around Heidi and Katie. You okay, men? I'll be fine, Traffin told him. But in truth, all he wanted to do was shift back into a dog and stay that way. John caught it. You don't look fine. Traffin ducked his head. Yeah, well, that's because of these arseholes and not because of anything you've ever done. John nodded and touched Tobias on the shoulder, but the boy shrugged his hand away and stayed beside Traffin. Traffin took a step forward, focusing on the pack leader. This is a good town, he said. They belong to the other side. Traffin shook his head. No, they got caught in the middle, made the best of it they could. You might not have worked it out yet, but they're not all human here. They sure look it. You tried using your noses? Or maybe the brain that's meant to be between your ears? I mean, I know shooting them's easier, but... He pointed at Jonathan. I came stumbling through his back door, and he takes one look at me and says I won't sit down until the lady of the house tells me I can. He knew exactly what I was. So, how come you're still here? That's a question I've asked myself every day for the last 3 years. But he knew, and I'm here, and he had plenty of opportunities to get rid of me. He could have given me up while I was still injured. He looked back at John. Why didn't you, by the way? John shrugged. I didn't like the Colonel? Why not? John gaped at him. You have to ask. That guy was a grade A asshole. He treated his men like dirt and everyone else like crap. Why would I hand you over to someone like that? He frowned. Besides, the vet would have been real upset to discover I'd had her patch you up just to get you killed. And she scares me, man. That lady has one mean temper. You had a vet check him out? The pack leader was outraged. What? You wanted me to take my dog to a doctor? That's just beyond stupid. What else do you think was a good idea? Maybe hang a sign around his neck that says I'm the shifter you're looking for. Please, grow a brain. The pack leader snarled, and Traffin stepped between them. They are mine, he snarled back. Each and every one of them mine. Several other growls answered him, and Heidi threw up her hands. Oh, really? She snapped. You can shoot me if you like, but dinner needs to go on and I'm tired of waiting to die. Come on, Katie. You can help me peel the potatoes. Gun snapped up and she pushed the nearest one away. You come get me when you work out what you're going to do with us. I'll be in the kitchen. Traffin watched as the pack leader signaled for her to be allowed to pass. Her voice floated back from the kitchen. And Woofer, for heaven's sake, and Katie's and mine, put on some damned clothes.